All right, welcome back to episode 5 of Reading the Wheel of Time for the first time with the Nerdy Negroes. I don't know what order I'm supposed to say this in. But anyway, as we've been doing, we are splitting this episode in half. First half this week on my channel, second half on the Everyday Negroes channel. This episode we are doing chapters 37 to 42 of Eye of the World. So yeah, thank you all for joining us, and a special thanks to our patrons. Your support means the world to me. It really and truly does. If you are a patron of my channel or of the Everyday Negroes channel, you can join us live when we record and, comment in the chat. And you can also go back and watch all of the unedited versions of these recordings. So yeah, consider joining mine or the Everyday Negroes channel for Patreon. And I guess without further ado, let's just jump into it. I know you've been doing reactions to it, but that is not. It has not entered my sphere yet. So
on the reading side of things, either
reading or watching. Yeah, I've talked about this a bit on my channel. I have a bit of an issue with fantasy in that whenever I pick up another fantasy, I just want to read Wheel of Time again. Like it's just like, well, why isn't this happening in the universe that I know and love? It's just so I
that
just
makes
go,
sense.
Which is I
have that same problem with video games sometimes, actually.
Yeah.
I have the same, specifically, like, if I play anything outside of Fallout, it's like, I keep trying to compare it to that game, so I don't fully enjoy the game, so I think I know what you mean.
Yeah. The way I described it to my sister is like when you eat, go to somebody's house or go to, like, a restaurant and they have mac and cheese, and it's good mac and cheese, but all it does is make you want, like, it makes me want my Aunt Pat's mac and cheese. That's all it does. And so...
I'm not trying to say your food's nasty. It's not my aunt's mac and cheese.
Exactly. So that's my problem with other fantasy. I'm sure it's good. It's just not mine. So, but anyway,
I understand.
Yeah. So I guess, well, why don't we just jump into it?
Yes.
And I got to remember the format of how I do this.
This is why I love your summaries too, because like you said, I think it's been a week since I've read this set of chapters, so your summaries, I'm hoping they just click things back for me.
Yes. Well, then I shall begin with the summary. The summary
Sweet.
For this one, chapter 37 is The Long Chase, and I do remember I put up the icon for you. The icon is the sunburst, so it's something with the white cloaks happening in this chapter.
Oh, I almost said sun summoner. That shut on bone, sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh, maybe I do have to try and pick this one up. Okay. Anyway. All right. Moraine, Lan, and Nynaeve travel towards Camelin, following whoever it was who has the coin. They find the White Cloak camp, and Lan sends Nynaeve to go and cut the horse line so that when Moraine makes a distraction, they'll run around causing chaos. She does this, and while she's cutting the horse line, she sees Bella, which makes her realize that Egwene is there with whoever is in the camp. Lightning strikes, and there is chaos, and also wolves. And, of course, because it's awesome, we have Todd's drawing for this one, which is the White Cloaks doing their weird patrol with little Nynaeve peeking around the corner, which I just love. So, thoughts on this one here?
I wonder what the forecast is like in Wheel of Time, because there's a lot of lightning striking at interesting times. So I'm gonna just say it goes back to the last chapter where it's like, what was the lightning strike were ran coincidental? I don't think so.
Yeah, we've only seen lightning 3 times so far, and twice it's been Moraine, like the first chapter and then this chapter. So last chapter,
Yes. So this was an interesting one. We get back to the other trio. We've been with the other set of guys for a while. So we get to see Lan, Moraine, and Nynaeve go on this little stealth mission, which is pretty neat. But it also has me a little skeptical of if Nynaeve is going to stick to the plan, because I know she's with them to get her kids back. To get the young ones back. So I can feel like at any chance, if she deems something more of the right way to do it, she'll deviate from Moraine's plan.
So like she'll just take the kids and run off?
I can see her attempting that given the right set of circumstances, but we'll see.
Yeah. This one for me, it's exciting because, 90's my girl, right? So this is her. I mean, she does deviate from the plan in this one. She was just supposed to cut the horse lines and come back, but she's cutting the horse lines, and then she sees, and I see it in the chat. People love her. Bella. She sees Bella in there, and she knows.
Bella.
That means Egwene's here. That means Egwene's here. So she does something that wasn't in the plan, which she gets Bella and she steals a horse, which is like. 90 thinking on her feet.
It is, but that wasn't technically what Moraine asked her to do, though.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't what Moraine asked her to do.
And that's what I'm getting at. It wasn't technically what she had asked her to do, but she had decided to do that anyway. And it's things like that I know when push comes to shove, she's gonna lean to her own understanding.
Yeah.
on certain things.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where I think my anticipation while reading this was more prominent than what I was reading, because in my mind I'm like, okay, we're about to get the crew back together. Like I'm just waiting for that moment when everybody reunites. Yeah. So I think I was listening through the things that were happening, but I was more so focused on like, man, it'll be interesting to see how they get back together, especially how in the show Egwene gets a better grasp of the one power to get loose. From the White Cloaks, and so this is definitely a different set of circumstances.
Yeah, completely different. Egwene and Perrin do not escape on their own at all. Like it's this other crew that comes in and rescues them. So, but what I thought was interesting, I sort of noted it this time. Nynaeve gets some sort of sense that if she doesn't steal the horses, some of them are gonna die, and she she has a certainty in her that scares her, because now she's afraid it has to do with the one power. Like it says, like she felt it the way how did they word it? She felt it the way she does when she listened to the wind. So it was that same certainty of, I know what the weather's going to be. The same certainty of, if I don't steal these horses, some of us are going to die. So yeah, that was interesting. I don't know. I hadn't really noticed that as much before.
Yeah, and when I heard that feeling she had, it just makes me wonder, like, so what is the, can I get like a cheat sheet of all the power profiles that you have? So I can know, because it seems like it's pretty much anything. I wouldn't be surprised if she could just, shoot lightning herself here eventually. But hey, I don't want to jump too soon. Although we have seen the show, so it's a bit of
You've seen the show, you've seen the level of power that she has in the book so far. Well, in a later chapter in this section, she does do some channeling, but we haven't really seen her power come out. In this case, it's just her power in this case was being really, really sneaky and good at stalking.
Yes. She was using her Power Ranger skills.
Yes,
there we go.
Exactly.
Her Power Ranger skills. She was tapping into that.
Yes. Nice. Very nice. I'm gonna have to get a picture of Zoe as a Power Ranger and put it in there for that moment. But the other thing I noted in this one, I just have it in my notes because I'm all about this. Nynaeve, because this is in Nynaeve's perspective, she is thinking so much about Lan. She's not realizing how much she's thinking about Lan, but it's just, even like her decision to like keep cutting the horse lines was, well, what's Lan gonna think if I don't do it?
Yes. Yes. So, and this is interesting too, because I think he like compliments her in weird ways that she takes it as a compliment, but like, hold on, what does he really think of me? Yeah. Which is funny because we get to see the relationship come together on a not as quickly as it did in the show. Yeah. So we get to see the natural progression as opposed to, okay, I think I like you. Okay, cool. We like each other. And so it's a little bit more fluid and natural as you read through the books. Is one thing that kind of stood out to me. And it also stands out from the fact that her first encounter with him was not one in which she was liking him at all. She was frustrated with the fact that these two people have come and uprooted their lives and uprooted some of their friends' lives. And it's just kind of that natural progression of respect. And Lan does seem to have some type of protective sense about her as well.
It's so interesting that you say it feels slower in the the reason I'm finding this so interesting is the majority of people, and like even people I know who are the type of like Allie, who was watching with us last time, she ships everybody. Like she'll see, like if two characters glance at each other, she's like, "Oh, they're a couple." Like that's her.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and she's fun. She read this book and didn't clock Lan and Nynaeve at all with all of this.
Interesting.
And most people don't. I like most people
Damn.
don't. But
so you think I have the event? You think I'm only feeling that way because I seen the show? You don't? Do you think I would have not thought that way had I not seen the show?
That's what I'm wondering. Like I'm also highlighting it for you because it is exciting, and you know I get all giddy and girly when I see it. But I don't know if you would have noticed it if it hadn't been for the show, because most people like they're reading this, and because it's so much Rand story, Rand doesn't care about Lan and Nynaeve, so he's just seeing it happen in the distance, and he's not like paying attention.
One of the reasons I feel like I still would have caught on to it is because of that saying, like, opposites attract.
Yeah.
Like, I think me in middle school, I used to see, people kind of flirt in different ways, but in middle school, like, there's these people that I knew, like, you would think that they hated each other's guts. They would argue all the time, all of that. And then by the end of middle school, they were dating. It was like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It appeared to be one thing, but you wouldn't give that much energy towards somebody you really don't like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That'd be a good question. It's kind of hard for me to answer that without having a biased opinion.
Yeah.
But I feel like I pick up on the little subtle things, especially the way that Moraine will say something to Land and then he'll kind of ponder about it, but he'll do what she says out of obedience, but you can tell he wants to speak a little bit more definitively when it comes to decisions about Nynaeve. So
yeah. I'm this honestly, it's fascinating to me. I'm curious to know. There's no way to know if you would have picked up on it otherwise, but you might have. I didn't. You gotta
get one of those Men in Black things and kind of flash it in front of my face and have me reread.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Do you know how many of us, like, that's the reason we all love first time readers, is because of that. We can't go back and read it again for the first time. So, we gotta get to experience it for the first time through people like you, and that's why we're all like, oh, another person starting the books. Yay. It's a drink your experience. That was really
Drink the experience.
This is a weird way to put it. I'm sorry. I apologize. The other thing I just had in my notes here for this chapter is at a certain point, Moraine feels Perrin lose his coin and get it back. And we actually saw that happen a few chapters back when the White Cloaks took his coin from him and then gave it back to him. So that was kind of interesting, seeing it from her perspective.
I guess, are we saying that when she felt that they were trying to align time frames? Is that what that is? That's what an indication of?
That's what I think it was. Yeah, like giving us a time frame. The other thing that I noticed that it made me think of this time, and I do have to thank the show for, because I never thought about, I wasn't thinking about Moraine. And I never thought about Moraine when reading book one. Like she's a character I love, but book one again.
For real? That's crazy.
It's Rand's story. So I was paying attention to Rand in book one. Rand, and then because Nynaeve's my girl, is Rand and Nynaeve, and a bit of Perrin, but those are the characters that I cared about. This time it was occurring to me, Moraine can feel what Lan's feeling. So she knows what's going on in Lan's heart. And when she has a moment of panic when Perrin loses his coin. Like it says she was sitting there, she stood up and she's like, he lost his coin and whatever. Yeah. She lets Nynaeve know later on that he got it back and that he's not dead. And it occurred to me,
it was that weird smile, didn't she? Like she just gave her this weird little
Yeah. But what occurred to me this time is Moraine probably cares a bit about Nynaeve because this person that she loves, like platonically, whatever, Lan, is developing feelings for this girl, so she's probably feeling a bit protective of herself. It's like
that is interesting. Yeah. I had a different feeling about that moment. Okay. So when Moraine, I'm actually hit on the first point you made about Moraine. You were not thinking about her that much as you're reading the book because it's Rand's story. I actually have the exact opposite feeling. It's like I'm constantly thinking about Moraine because Rosamund Pike is narrating it. So it's almost like no matter what we do, Moraine knows what's happening, because not only is the actor who's playing, or the actress who's playing her in the TV series, narrating the book. It's that association with it for me that makes it seem like it's almost her story more than it's Ren's.
Interesting.
So I do get that feeling. But going back to Nynaeve and Moraine, I actually thought for a moment that she was being, because I know they say Aes Sedai, they don't necessarily lie, but that you may not see the truth that you want to hear.
Yeah.
I thought it was one of those moments where she was being less truthful than we saw, just to kind of calm down Nynaeve from getting a little bit too frustrated about the possibility that Moraine's plan was not going as according to plan.
Right. It's possible, because it was like the way, like,
it was weird.
Yeah, the way Nynaeve took it, she took it kind of like that, right? Like that's Nynaeve. I mean, Nynaeve has a. I love Nynaeve. My girl is flawed. Like she's not a perfect character by any stretch of the imagination. She has it's not a chip. She's got like a mountain on her shoulder when it comes to Moraine. So everything Moraine does, she's like, what? Why? What do you do? Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Every single thing that Moraine does. But I was trying to imagine from Moraine's perspective this time, and like her thinking, oh man, I probably scared the crap out of Nynaeve a couple of minutes ago when I said that. Oh, okay, he's got his coin back. Let me tell her. So she calms down. Like that was the feeling that I had at that point. But I don't know, because Moraine she's like an enigma. Everything she does, even Rosamund Pike. When I saw an interview with her where she talked about the difference between the character in the show and the character in the books, like it's Moraine and Moraine. But she said when she reads Moraine in the books, she reads her with a little bit more distance, because she's unknown. Like she's not a character that you're supposed to know as well.
Interesting.
So like the word she used is, I kind of read her like chimes, like bells. Like everything she says is like calm. And
see, even a statement like that's like a Aes Sedai statement. Like, what does that mean? Can you be a little bit more clear? I'll read her like chimes. Come on, man. There's no clarity in that at all. It can be perceived in so many different ways. She was in character when she gave that interview. That's what I think. She was completely in character giving statements like that.
It made sense to me, because that when I hear, I'm like, yeah, no, that sounds a bit like chimes. Every time she speaks, it's just like, hello.
Oh man.
Oh man. Okay, well, I don't have any further notes on this, but like this was pretty cool. We got like Nynaeve doing some stalking. We're beginning the rescue. Do you have any further thoughts on this chapter before we go on to the next one?
No, not on this one.
All right. Well, then let's go on to the next one, which is chapter 38. It's called Rescue. Let me show you the icon. It is the Flame of Tarvalon. Perrin and Egwene have been treated horribly by the White Cloaks during their captivity. One night, Byre comes in to not so subtly suggest that they escape because they're slowing the White Cloaks down. Perrin is suspicious of this, and as he is trying to figure out a way to get out, he gets a message from the wolves that help is coming. Lan appears and starts taking out the White Cloaks. He frees them, and during the chaos that Moraine caused, they make their way back to the others. They all meet up together, with Nynaeve arriving last with Bella and the extra horse that she stole. When they have time for a break, Nynaeve treats Perrin's wounds, which are excessive, and her treatment works remarkably well. She notices that his eyes are golden, and Moraine seems to know what this is, but she won't elaborate. Perrin seems to take this as her thinking that it's some sort of evil, but Lan reassures him that it's not. And Perrin tells Lan about Elias, who Lan actually knows. And the Todd's artwork for this one is this rescue. I'm loving Lan. Like their little feet and the rock. It's all just, it's precious. It's absolutely precious.
Yeah, lots of thoughts on this. It is very interesting seeing Perrin dissect his captor's thoughts. Also from the fact of, remind me of the lieutenant who's watching over them as they are, his name one more time.
Is Byre. It was Byre, on the quiz, but I'll just tell you now.
My fault.
All right.
So Byre, his disposition is weird because I think Perrin does indicate it's not like he's mad at me or not mad. He doesn't care if I live or die. It's like, that's a weird thing. Because normally, like for me, I'd rather know how you feel about a situation than you just be indifferent. Because it almost makes it seem like my life doesn't even matter. if it was one way or the other. So with Bayer and then him coming up and the whole revelation of him saying, well, we got to be here at a certain time and you guys are kind of holding us back. Well, here's a rock, you know, get free. I was like, parent, do not cut yourself free. As soon as you get up, they're going to shoot you down and be done with it. There's no way I'm falling for that. And you can see him kind of starting to think through that as well. And the timing of land coming during that situation was perfect. Yeah. Now, the treatment of them is I kind of get it from the standpoint of you killed two of their guys, so a lot of them are feeling a type of way with you. And that's why even Bayer's response is like, I don't know if I fully believe that. I feel like he does feel a way that you killed a couple of their men. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think the parent says the only thing really Bayer believes is that they should die. Like that's his only, like you should die. You're dark friends. You killed two people. You should die. But he doesn't care about their pain. It bringing them
that's
pain
weird.
Doesn't bring him satisfaction, but it also doesn't upset him. He's just like, you should die. Like it is weird. Bayer is a weird dude. He's not somebody I would want to meet in a dark alley. Let's just say.
Yeah, and I think that type of attitude is like, I don't know, and the difference with him is like, I don't personally know anybody like him who has that type of disposition. I know people who get angry easily, people who are, you know, not angered easily, but just that I don't care one way or the other is like, I don't know. I feel like I don't want to, we'll see as things progress along, but I feel like he's like the most unrelatable character that we've met so far in the book series.
He's definitely unrelatable. I find him creepy. Like he just kind of creeps me out. I see Dana Bayer is a sociopath. Like that's a good description.
The sociopath is that's hitting it on the head. But but Land coming through at the nick of time, when he first gave a few blows, I was like, did you kill these people? did you kill? As I'm reading the description, I was like, goodness gracious, Land. But then when he gave his spiel about he doesn't kill, you know, unless it's necessary, whatever the case may be, I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then we see Perrin get his equipment back. Get his equipment back. Axe, but you let me know, was he almost checking to make sure Bayer was okay? Is that what he was doing? Well, or was he just checking to get his cloak and his
he did.
That's what I was a little confused about.
Yeah, because Land did tell him to take the cloak. I think while he was getting the cloak, he could see that Bayer was still alive, and you know, because Perrin is not a sociopath, he was glad that a human didn't die. Like that was actually one of the things that was interesting in the way that this was written. Because I don't know how much you know about Robert Jordan's life experience, but he was a soldier. Like he was in Vietnam. He's like a decorated soldier, and he has talked a lot about he's passed away, so he talked a lot about his experience there and just how, you know, some of the trauma that he experienced. But one of the expressions he, like, as much as Bayer is an awful human being, when he starts to be, like, when Land starts to attack him, Perrin's reaction was to yell out to warn him, because it was another human being about to get hurt. And that's a human reaction. Like, even you're a bad person and I want you to die, except when you're about to die, my instinct is, I must protect a human. Like that's a human reaction, which I thought I wondered if that was something that Robert Jordan pulled from his experience of in the army, when you have the enemy that you have to take down, but then in the moment of that being like, wait, but that's a human being and I should protect them.
That is interesting. And I didn't know if, again, Perrin was checking on him to make sure he wasn't hurt, or if he kind of somewhat does feel bad for killing two of their guys. So he does almost feel like he deserves what he's getting, but he doesn't necessarily want Egwene to be a part of that. The other aspect of it is, I forget if it was this chapter or the previous chapter, but was it Nynaeve or whoever, they saw the wolves there, but they didn't feel like they were the threat to them?
Yes, yeah. Land mentioned it. So, he's like, I saw wolves, but it's like the wolves wanted me to see them and they won't hurt you, don't worry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that was neat, because That'll be an interesting collaboration.
Yeah.
If they actually verbalize, all right, let's go into battle together. I feel like eventually there'll be an all-out war where all the different facets or different groups are gonna have to bound together to kind of defeat one or the other.
I'm curious to know how they do that in the show, because like here they had, it just appeared in his mind, like help comes. That's from the wolves, and I don't know how they'll realize. Like I'm imagining again. I have no idea what they're gonna do next season, but I'm imagining they're gonna develop Perrin's wolfiness more in future seasons. So
his wolfiness.
yeah. So I don't know how they're gonna do that, because he does literally communicate with wolves.
And this is one of those things. This is a big deviation from the show. The whole rescue. This is a huge deviation, and it actually makes me wonder. I feel like the way they did it in the show was to let the audience know that Egwene is getting better at touching the one power. And to reveal that Perrin has wolf-like tendencies.
Yeah.
But I feel like that is going to play out either way with the progression of the storyline. So I wonder why they chose this moment to switch that rescue mission up.
Yeah. One of my issues, I think I mentioned to you before, is I cannot place things on maps. So that might have been part of it, where they had them in the map. They were not near each other. It's possible, but it also is possible that they were right next to each other, and I don't know, because literally you show me a map and that's a pretty picture, and I move on with my life. I have no idea. Yeah. I have no idea what's happening. So I don't know. I mean, it also could have just been a time constraint, or the other thing that it might be. Sorry, as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking it through, because they were holding back Perrin's wolf tendencies. They couldn't have it be this explicit without like revealing their entire hand, because they were trying to hide the extent of what Perrin was, so that
I would actually say during that rescue scene in the show,
that's when
that was the most implication that it was, because his eyes turned so yellow when he was in those ropes trying to escape. I feel like even if he didn't fully anamorph into a wolf at the time, it's like, okay, you are a wolf, dude. Nobody's eyes turn mustard yellow like that. Regardless of how angry they are, I could squeeze my head all I want. My eyes still not gonna turn that yellow. So I think that did confirm all of the suspicions. Now, speaking of suspicions, when everybody is captured and free and together, Moraine, see, this is where Moraine gets on my nerves. It's like, Moraine, I wish you would just completely tell Perrin what he is, why he is. It's supposed, this is an interesting pattern in the wheel. Like, come on, man. Like, just let them know, because like, at least not for my own mental sanity, let me know that I'm not a pawn of the Dark One or something. Let me know. I would like to know that.
This is another one of those things where the show gave me goggles to view this speech in a way that I'd never thought of before. I think Moraine got caught in her oath. Now when I read it back, because, they have an oath, they take that oath that they can't break. Like you saw that in the show, they hold that rod, and when they take an oath, they can't break it. So she has an oath to not speak a word that's not true. Like if anything that comes out of her mouth is 100 is she doesn't believe it to be true. That's what it has to be. It has to be her believing it to be true. She physically can't do it. And she starts to say something here, and she can't. And what she started to say was, this is not caused by the Dark One. But I think what happened was she's not 100% sure. So she couldn't say it. Like I don't know if that's what Robert Jordan meant, but this is the first time I noticed that. It was like, she started to say something, and then she couldn't finish it. I think that's what happened. I think she was like, don't worry, Perrin, this is not caught. I'm not 100% sure. I can't finish that thought because of this stupid oath. So she had to go back and make it less clear, because that's the only way that her oath would allow her to say it. But because of that, Perrin took it a certain way.
For sure.
Yeah,
for
of
sure.
course.
Like, and that's what I'm saying, like, the way she phrases things is like the worst way to phrase them ever, because I don't know if I'm more on the positive or negative side of anything ever when you're with her. Especially when she already told us at the beginning of this journey I'll take care of y'all before I even let y'all get the opportunity to go over to the Dark One. So that means that there's a high chance that the Dark One is gonna get to us. Yeah, so her wording of things is not necessarily helpful, but a part of me understands that it has to be that way for the progression of the book.
Yeah.
So I have to kind of force myself to, all right, be patient. This is not a real life situation. This is a book. So enjoy how the information gets shown to you.
Also, I mean, some people call her like the carpool mom. Like, she's a person who knows so much information, and she's got kids from a village who know practically nothing. She cannot be constantly giving them all of her information, because that would be, it's just too much, and it would probably overwhelm them. They wouldn't believe a lot of what she has to say, and she's rationing it because she doesn't trust them yet. But,
that's a fact.
Yeah. In this case, though, I literally think it was a case. She's like 90% there, but she's not 100%, and because she's not 100%, she couldn't say it. So it was yeah. Man, I've never caught that before.
She's a tricky one, man. She is a tricky one.
She is a tricky one. Now, I do want to ask you a question, because did you catch that Nynaeve healed Perrin here?
I saw. I didn't. I thought it was one of those like Wolverine type things. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. I thought she was there, and maybe she was assisting a little bit, but I thought it was one of those things because of his manifestation and everybody realizing who it was, a wolf, that he was kind of tapping into some other portions of his rehabilitation or his healing ability. Okay. So I didn't fully attribute it to Nynaeve at that time. No, I didn't.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I apologize, because I have just exposed, but she did. She that, because it says like she saw him get better, and then she gets a little scared, because like before Moraine told her that she can channel, she was just like, well, sometimes my cures work really, really quickly. I don't know why. But in this case, she watched it happen, and it scared her. And then she's like, for everything else, go see Moraine. Like, she gets all mad. Just go see her. I'm not doing any of this. Like, it scares her. So, I don't know. That's the first thing we actually see her do as far in the books.
It doesn't surprise me, though.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me. But actually, hold on. Before that, though, they were about to leave, though, correct?
I think they had left, and this is like one of the places where they stopped, because they had to get away from the White Cloaks, obviously. So they stopped to, I don't know, rest? I can't remember.
No, meaning that I think Moraine was about to leave, and Lan was like, hold on, we got to wait for Nynaeve.
Oh, yes.
Correct?
Yeah, back there. Yes.
Yes.
I was going to point that out later. Yes.
Moraine was like ready to leave her in the dust because she felt like she had done something dumb. And a part of me was like, are you leaving her in the dust because you don't want Lan to, you see what's going on with Lan and her emotionally, and you don't think it's good for him to get attached to her given the magnitude of the mission that y'all are going on? Or do you really feel like she did something that was super detrimental to you all's plan? Yeah. So that was weird to me, seeing how abruptly she was after she was talking about, she's an essential part of the group, to she's not here in the next 5 minutes, we gotta go.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah, it is an interesting moment. Like that's the first time we get any indication, like as a complete aside, about who Lan is. She calls him like a diademed lord of blah blah blah. Like she drops that somewhere, like in the midst of all of this. But yeah, he goes to go after Nynaeve, and she tells him not to, which contradicts what I was seeing from her earlier, where she might have had some sort of protective, like, and compassionate feelings towards her. But I don't feel like she was. I don't know. Lan's main priority, their main priority at this point, is to protect Perrin. Like, even Egwene, she wants to protect Egwene, but Perrin is her main priority because she knows it's one of these three boys. And so they are the primary thing we have to think of. And even, this woman that you might be developing some feelings about, no, she comes second to this little village kid that we picked up.
Yeah, no, they're definitely, the way their relationship is, if they ever do get married, whatever the case may be, man, there's going to be some interesting vows, because I can see Moraine being the what do you call it? The minister? What do they call it? The person who reads the vows. The officiant. That shit. Yeah. Moraine's gonna be the officiant, and she's gonna have her own line of vows in there. It's so weird. It's like I can see, like Nynaeve, like in a whole spinoff, Nynaeve and Lan talking about how many kids they want to have, and Nynaeve's probably like, I'm cool with 3, and Moiraine's like, you will only have 5, and it'll be. It's like, how do you get what level of say do you get in my life? Like, how much can you control?
Yeah,
how much can you control?
Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah.
The other thing though too is when Moiraine realizes that Perrin has whatever path with the wolf. Does she then disassociate him as being the primary guy that she needs to be wary of?
Yeah.
That's one thing that I was wondering during that encounter in this chapter. If she's like, okay, you're essential, but I may not have to worry about you as much as I might need to worry about Matt and Rand now. That was one of the things I was thinking about.
Yeah, I'm not sure what her thought. Like I think actually she's not sure. Like that's part of the thing that's happened here. Is she's like, wait. I did like in all of her calculations because she's been on this quest for I guess 20 years. She has had all of these calculations, and it's like you think you've thought of every possible variant, and then suddenly, wait, he's a wolf. What? Like that is not even entered into my mind. So I think. Yeah, he, as I say, Rapunzel, he might be the wolf dragon. I don't know.
Yeah, no, the chat got me cracking up. Kate says, interesting vows. David Nance says, Moiraine the Aes Sedai-in-law. That's a pretty good one. Rapunzel says, the wolf dragon. You never know. He could be some variation of the dragon. That's hilarious.
Yeah, like I really do think that Moraine's been thrown for a loop by this. She has no idea what to do. Like these boys are out here doing things like, Perrin's now he's got golden eyes and he's whatever and Matt picked up a demon dagger and like none of them are telling me they're like she thought she had told like covered all of her bases and it turns out no, I covered all my bases because I thought we were playing baseball. Turns out we're playing cricket. Like it's just a completely different sport. Anyway, okay. Do you have any further thoughts on this chapter before we move on?
No, outside of the fact that I feel like Moiraine, as much as she shows interest to those around her, seeing her ready to leave Nynaeve let me know that she'll cut people off quick.
Yeah.
That was one thing that I thought about when I saw that encounter. As much tutelage and companionship and the travel that they went on, if anything is deterring them staying on course of the mission, she'll cut that thing off quick. So I did notice that's one thing I think that kind of came out about her.
Yeah. Sorry, I see Dana asking me about the rules of cricket. Look, I am from Bermuda. We do play cricket in Bermuda. I do not know anything. My dad has tried to explain cricket to me so many times, and my eyes just glaze over. I know there's wickets, and I know there's bats, and I know they wear sweaters when they play, which is really dumb because Bermuda's really hot. That's what I know about cricket. So I'll get off this cricket talk. This has nothing to do with Wheel of Time.
Hey, the wheel weaves is a wheel wheels.
It does. It does. All right.
It's another pattern in the store.
Indeed. Okay, so the next chapter is called The Weaving of the Web, and the icon is the Lion of Andor. Rand wants to go into the city to see the false dragon, so we're in Caemlyn here. And as he's leaving, Basil Gill tells him that there's a beggar wandering around and asking for him. Rand makes his way into the city center, and he finds a good place to look at the false dragon, but he gets spotted by the beggar, and so he runs away. He sees a wall that has a good view of where the false dragon will be, so he climbs up and gets a look at Logain being guarded by the Aes Sedai. He wonders out loud what the Aes Sedai are doing, and when someone actually answers him, it startles him so much that he falls backward off the wall. And Todd's drawing for this one, that is Logain. Because he's laughing at a certain point. He just starts laughing in the cage.
Why does it look like Logain is like flicking him off though?
He is. That's why it looks like that. If you
he's trying to give Todd the benefit of the doubt there.
No.
Maybe he's like, you're next, buddy.
Yeah. All of these images come with like alt text that describes them, and that is part of the alt text. Yes.
So you were shielding me in a different way, huh?
Yes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this show was PG at first, but you know.
Maybe I'll put like some little pixels over it.
I feel like every time pixels go over top of things, you just emphasize like there's something bad going on here.
It makes it worse. Yes.
That's funny. This was oh man, I had so many thoughts about this particular chapter because it's like the one thing you're not supposed to do, you just always do.
Yeah.
Rand and Matt get in predicaments like that. Like out of all the places you could have fallen, is the calling on your life that big that you just fall into like you fall into these certain situations?
Yes.
That was pretty weird. And the thing with the beggar, it's like I would like to know more information about him. Now, Rand seems like a strapping young fellow, but I know his encounters with dark friends and fades and things of that nature make him very wary of people who are after him. But if some, no disrespect, some bum comes pointing a finger at me, I don't know. You think your first thing would be to run? Well, I don't know.
Because the bum has been apparently looking for him and asking for him by name. Like, that would be scary. Like, it's like you're out there and you hear
it is scary.
Like, creep who smells real bad and he's gross and he's looking for Adison from Everyday Negroes. Like,
never mind. When you say it like that, I'm out. Never mind. When you put it into my personal situation, I'm out. Never mind. Thank you for providing some clarity to this situation. I'm not sticking around.
It's weird. Like, if the bum just points at you on the street, again, no disrespect, but okay, that's fine. But like, literally, he's been looking for me. Yeah,
that's weird. And then also, man, how oblivious are you to not realize whose property you just climbed up on?
Yeah, just climbed up Buckingham
I mean,
Palace.
I know there's a lot of things going on. It's like, I would know, all right, I'm climbing up something that looks like this could be the Queen's estate. You know, I just feel like, but the weirdest part about that was, and I would like to, know some layout of this as well, was the wall that he was climbing like side by side a tree? Is that what the indication of it was?
I think, there was a tree on the inside of the garden that it says later on, but it says Elaine had been climbing the tree because she wanted to see him as well. So she was up a tree and he was on the top of the wall. So yeah. So, any thoughts on the beggar? Who do you like? Any thoughts on who or what that was?
No. So that the beggar, even when I mentioned it earlier, I was like, did I miss something in one of the other chapters that I was supposed to remember? No, I can't think of who this is, especially since Rand had an interaction with Pat and Fane in the alleyway, but he clearly knew who that was.
Yeah.
I don't even, whether Rand just didn't get a good enough glimpse at this person, or if he did get a glimpse and just did not know this person. That's why it's like, I don't know who this person is now either. Or do I know if I should know this person is? And I don't think you're at liberty to tell me that per se.
I was just wondering if you had any guesses or anything.
Any guesses? Until further notice, I'm gonna just say a dark friend.
Okay.
I'm gonna say a dark friend until further notice, because those are only people who kind of know exactly who they are that we've encountered that we are not familiar with as an audience up until this point. So I'll vote and say dark friend for now.
Okay, yeah. And this is like an interesting thing from the show, because in the show we saw Logain in the cage being brought into a different city. He's being brought into Tar Valon, and he looks at Matt, and then Matt has a hallucination of him laughing, whereas in the show he actually does, or in the book he actually does laugh. Like that was I like the show tied in this scene of like Logain in a cage just laughing, and we saw that in the show as well. But it was a different circumstance. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yes. Yeah. That was interesting. And too, I think Matt did go out and see him.
Matt
with Rand. Correct?
Yeah, they were. I'm just now realizing they were also perched on. Like, I have issues with safety in shows. I've complained about it a lot. There's just no. And Rand and Matt are like sitting on not on chairs on the balcony, but they're sitting on the edge of like the fence on the balcony.
Yeah,
that's
that. Yeah, I don't know. Even when I was young, I didn't do stuff like that. I mean, I know sometimes younger people feel invincible and they do this. I wasn't trying to play with my life like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would be scared that the wrong breeze would come through and knock me down, the ledge.
Me too.
But
Me too.
yeah. One other thing that I did notice though that was pretty cool is that the book had Mother Grub, man.
Yeah,
That's a nickname. And Mother Grub, she just gotta stay like that. Mother Grub. I really like that name.
Yeah.
And then also as Ren was go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say I like that name too. It's a good name.
That's one of my top favorite names, I think, of the book so far. I'm not gonna say it's my favorite, but it's in my top 5 though of names. But also as Rand was going through the city before we get into the him falling into the queen's estate, seeing the different like political factions of people wearing the bands, the white and the red. Everybody was out there politically gangbanging, so to speak.
Yes, exactly.
That was interesting too, and how Rand decided to kind of steer one way.
Yeah, but it actually says like he did it by accident. He went to buy cloths just to cover up the heron because like we see even in future chapters that heron gets a reaction. Like people see that heron, they're like gets a huge reaction. So he's like, I got to cover this, and he just bought the cheapest cloth. And the cheapest cloth made him look like he was on one side, which, I mean, he's lucky because he fell into the palace wearing that specific color.
Exactly. And I know we'll probably talk about this in chapter 40. But yeah, it's like, it's funny how everything falls into place. No pun intended.
Yeah. Well, it's as somebody put it up earlier, but I'll do it in my best loyal voice, my best brother book voice. It's Tavirin. Tavirin just like steers you in with specific directions. So the other thing I noted in this one, you got Matt. I didn't bring him up so much because he's just like up in bed being real cranky, but he's suspicious of everyone, even of our brother Book. Like he's like calling
brother Book a trollop with his disrespectful self. But yeah, that was because I seen the show, I get a glimpse of how like dark he's looking and how like sick and twisted he's looking. But the way that he's just like curled up is just weird. And to me, it's one of those things where Rand, are you just so much of a friend to him that you can't see obvious changes in his disposition, his demeanor and everything? Or are you just not wanting to believe it? That's the part that I'm a little bit skeptical of, because that seems like such a big change that Rand should be able to know a lot sooner that he needs more serious help than a good night's sleep. Yeah.
It's alarming. Like he's just not behaving.
Yes.
Like even from like the first couple of chapters, Matt seemed like he's a silly guy. Like he's like, oh, let's let this badger out and tease the girls. But like he seemed like a perfectly normal, if immature young man, and now he's
for sure
something wrong. Like there's something. I mean, we know what's wrong. We figured that out in a couple chapters. But I will
say this though, boy, am I glad that he did not decide to go over there with Rand, because if he fell into the Queen's estate, oh man. It would have been really bad. So it was one of those things where it's like, man, as much as I hate that you're sick, I'm glad you're sick.
I never even thought about that.
Here I am sick at the same time. But yeah.
I never even thought about that. My goodness, what it would have Matt would have messed everything up. Like,
man.
It was already really, really bad. It would have been so much worse. It would have been so much worse.
It would have been worse. Real worse.
The only other thing I just pointed out in my notes is it's interesting. I just find it interesting that the city is turning against anyone who does any sort of healing. Like Mother Grub is in danger, and any herbalists and healers, doctors, they're all in danger right now because everybody is suspicious of anything that they think even touches the one power, which not all healers do. Some of them are just like, here's some medicine. It's interesting. It's an interesting thing to see, especially in, living in the world we're living right now, where everything is so everybody's suspicious of it. You do anything that's even remotely related to something I don't like, and suddenly I'm painting you with all kinds of suspicion.
A fact.
Yeah.
That is a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then seeing how the white cloaks get treated out there too, it was pretty funny.
Yes.
Seeing them getting deboed out the way.
Yes, exactly.
And then them having to just deal with it and not really retaliate because they're overwhelmed in numbers. That was kind of hilarious.
It is nice to see them get a little bit of pushback, because they've been stomping all over the place up until now. So
yeah.
Okay, so any further ones on this chapter before we go on?
No, just the timing of everything and how everything's falling together. It's interesting. And just going back to, like I said, I think it was clear. Yeah, you should stay away from the Queen's estate and yada yada yada. And then the very first day you go out, where do you end up?
Exactly. Exactly. So, okay. Then we'll go on to the next chapter. All right. That is the end of part 1 of episode 5. Obviously, this does not get us to chapter 42. Second half is on the Everyday Negroes channel, where we finish up these chapters, go through to chapter 42. There's a quiz. There's Adison's AI art. There's just some fun conversation. So be sure to head over there now. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.